I'm Sharon. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I thought it'd be a good idea to take a closer look at how to manage your practice time and work out a proper practice schedule. Last time I was talking to you about being thoroughly prepared for your ABRSM exam, but that's quite tricky to do when you've got such a lot to work on all the time, especially when you've got all your pieces and all of your scales going. It's a plate spinning act really, about keeping everything going really. And so I'm going to be talking particularly about the ABRSM exams, and I shall be looking at the piano scales, but really I'm just talking general. It doesn't matter what instrument or what exam board you're working towards. It's just the same principle of managing your time wisely. It's about working smarter, not really longer and harder. So last time I mentioned to you about working with a practice diary. If you go to my website, you'll find lots of resources there. You'll find a PDF for this practice diary. So go to sharonbill.com and you'll find it there. And this is just a very simple way of keeping track on your time and making sure that you're getting everything covered. So that's the first thing that you can do, is just like a bit of a time audit and make sure you're actually putting the practice time in. The first job, of course, is to build up your repertoire of pieces and also of scales, but then the tricky bit comes when you need to keep working on individual aspects of things whilst maintaining the balance of keeping everything else going, and that's where it can get a little bit tricky. So I've come up with a few ideas and make sure that your practice time really counts. You don't want to just keep rehashing everything that you already know. It's much more flattering to play the bits that you can do, but you can spend 3 hours practicing away and just mashing through everything, and you've not really progressed because you're not addressing the things that you need to be working on. So it's about using your brain and just making sure you're aware of what you should be working on those tricky aspects, and then just sort of recapping the other issues that you need to perhaps just keep refreshing and just keeping under your fingers. And so I've worked out a plan, and for grades 1 to 4 I've worked it on a weekly schedule, and I've given you 5 days practice, and that means you've got 2 days free because sometimes life happens and we can't always practice every single day. But when it gets to grade 5 piano, there are so many scales that really I've spread that over a 3-week period so that you get through every single scale permutation over a 3-week period. But you can of course change that to suit you. If you're working more than 5 days a week, then you'll of course get through it quicker. And I've called the days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've not said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and so on, because you might just be starting on any day, and then it allows for if you've had a day off in the week, and then you can carry on with the next day in the progression. So if you go to my website, you'll find some practice schedules where I'll give you a template for how to work through each of the piano grades, and I'll allocate the scale so that you get through them all each week. And then if it is that you're working on a different instrument, just replace the scale permutations. You'll soon get the gist of the plan. And so what I suggest that you do as you're working through your scales and pieces is that each day you choose 2 scales, say for example, or however many it is that you need to work on. So on day 1, for example, if we were looking at grade 1 piano, we'd do everything to do with the scales in C. So you do C major right hand scale, C major left hand scale, C major contrary motion, and then you do most of your work on piece A. So that'll be the piece that you dissect and sort out and work on the tricky bits and pick it apart and put it back together again. That will be your main piece for that day. And then you'll just quickly go through piece B just to keep it dusted off and keep it under your fingers. And then the next day, so on day 2, you would choose a different set of scales. So we'll do all things G, for example. And then on day 2, you would look at B, the piece that you'd sort of just had a quick look at yesterday, and that would be the piece that you do a massive breakdown and work session on. and then you give a quick recap of piece C. So you see how we're building up the work schedule. So on day 3, you would work on the next set of scales. So you'd, for example, work on all scales and broken chords to do with D. That would be D major and D minor. And then you would spend most of your time really working on piece C. So you'd get all your hard work done, all your nitty-gritty stuff, you know, sort out all the tricky sections, and then you would perhaps then recap piece A. If you've got extra time, give a quick blow through piece B as well. And I think the important thing, whatever grade it is you're doing, whatever piece you're working on, don't always start at the beginning, because it may be that the beginning section's the easy bit, and then by sort of line 3, that's where it gets really tricky. And so there's no point wasting your time. Keep playing the bits that you already know. Zone straight in on the hard work bits while your brain is fresh and you think, right, I'm going to sort this out, and you do hands separately if you're playing piano, or you work on the breathing issues if you're doing flute, and look at the tonguing and slurring. Whatever it is that you need to be working on, start on the tricky bit first while your brain is free and clear. And then when you feel like you're starting to get a bit of a meltdown and you think, right, I think I've done that as best as I can for today, then you step away from it and reintegrate back to the beginning and just play up towards that and reintegrate it into the piece. So don't always start at the beginning, and don't always keep playing the bits that you know. Be clever, be wise about how you use your time. So I think it's just about being responsible about the way you spend your time at your instrument. Don't just keep knocking through things. And please do go to my website. You'll see all sorts of practice schedule suggestions. You'll see scale boxes as well. And so when you sort of feel like you've got everything pretty much exam ready, what can happen is you can end up in a sort of a groove where you sort of know what scale's coming next. And so I've then done, for the next stage in your exam prep or practice schedule, I've done a scale box. And so I've written out every possible permutation of every single scale on the syllabus for the ABRSM piano exam scales and arpeggios and so on. And I've put them on a sheet where you can just print them off, and if you chop them up and cut them out into like little tickets and fold them up and make sort of a brand tub, and then pull one out of the hat, as it were, and play that, and you'll get like a little system of, yes, I can do that straight away, so that's kind of safe. Or if you stumble a little bit, because it's very different coming at a scale in an ad hoc way, and so it really surprises you. And if you can't get it straight out of the bag and fire it off straight away, it means it's a little bit wobbly and you need to do a little bit more practice. So have a little pile of little bits of paper to work on, and then you can test yourself, and it's more unpredictable that way. And so there's lots of tips on spending your time wisely, and really get cracking. And I think you can just enjoy knowing that you've got a system and you're on the track, you're on the right track, and you're ready to go. So do enjoy your practice and get cracking. I'd love to hear how you get on. I hope this helps you. Do go to my website, there's lots there to help you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.